Hi everyone and welcome to the tutorial for The Mystery by Tommy Emmanuel. As I feature my top tier Patreons, I also want to add that there is now a PayPal donate link for those of you who want to make a contribution to the channel without joining up on Patreon. However, if you're looking for tablature files, notation files, or early access to other videos, Patreon is still the way to go. Recently, I put up a poll on YouTube and a separate one on Patreon and asked all of you to vote on your favorite Tommy Emmanuel song out of a list of songs that were already requested on the channel, and this one was by far the most popular on Patreon. I made a top 10. I took the first 6 songs on Patreon and added 4 more from the YouTube list, and that gave me a nice and top 10 with lots of variety. But I give priority to the Patreon songs, so here we are. And man, those guys really made me work from the get-go. The Mystery is a unique song. I had to start from scratch. I didn't know the song. And the song offers a lot of unique challenges, and I hope to explain all of them in full in this video. I'm pretty much always in doubt whether I should improve something or change something to make a tutorial work better, but this tutorial is an extremely rare case. I'm actually really pleased at how this turned out. Okay, so let's get to work. Now, first a few pointers. The guitar is in a bit of an alternate tuning this time, so you have to drop down your low E string to a D, then you have to drop down your low A string to a G, which gives you a G6th tuning. And then you have to slap on a capo at the 4th fret. Now, normally I would make the tutorial without the capo because it's easier to understand the fingering, not always having to count up 2 or 3 or 4 extra frets. But this time, the use of the capo is so instrumental in making the song sound right that I didn't have any other choice but to use it for the tutorial as well. That means that each number down in the tablature, you have to add up 4 extra frets to get to the correct position. This also put me in sort of a tough spot, a bit of a dilemma. Normally I would have done this tutorial with my concert model guitar, but that guitar doesn't have proper position markings on the front of the fretboard, which would make it a lot harder for you to follow along. So what did I do? I took my trusty old Martin Jumbo, because this one has really clear position markers on the fretboard, but I have to admit this guitar isn't particularly good friends with the capo on the 4th fret. So while this guitar sounds huge in open position, low rumbling bass notes, the capo on the 4th fret sort of chokes the nature of this guitar. It doesn't sound as good as it would do without the capo, but I guess for all of you it's actually easier if you have a very clear view on all those position markers. The last thing you need is a plectrum, and you'll be needing this one quite a lot. This is a very plectrum heavy song. You will need to use some hybrid picking as well, but the plectrum will be doing almost 99% of the work in this song. As soon as you have all of that together, you're good to go. Let's have a look at the intro first. That's the intro. Starting out with the pinky. If you look at the absolute number on the guitar on the 13th fret and then the middle finger on the 11th fret in the tablature, and I will have to check quite often, that will be the 9th fret and the 7th fret. So make sure that you use the middle finger and the pinky for this, as you will have to add in a melody note right away when the verse starts, and you will be starting from this position. That's the intro. Always the same picking pattern. This is where the technical aspect of what the intro and the verse consists of emerges right away. You're going to play alternate picking all the way through. but in a very strict manner, which means that on the beat you'll always be playing a downstroke, and in between the beats you'll always be playing upstrokes. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. On each beat a downstroke, in between the beats an upstroke. If sometimes you don't have to play a note on the beat, that means you will have to play 2 upstrokes right behind each other, because that note on the beat disappears, which means the downstroke disappears, but you have to keep track of that alternate picking movement all the way through the song. It's a good example if you see, I'm now using this picking pattern, which is something Tommy does a lot when he plays the song live, which is picked down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. But on the original recording, Tommy leaves out the bass note. He only plays it the first time and then leaves it out the 3 other times, which gives you this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you can see, you're playing down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's the original recording on the Mystery. Now, if you watch him play it live more recently, he just picks every note, like I did in the intro. And this really establishes that picking pattern right away. I would suggest starting out with this, and then maybe if you want to play the intro exactly the same as on the Mystery record, you learn how to leave out that one bass note afterwards. But this is the basic picking pattern. If you do it right, then you will probably see that the plectrum is always heading in the direction of the next string you have to play. So a downstroke on the A string makes the plectrum jump towards the G string. Picking upward on the G string makes the plectrum jump towards the D string. Picking downward on the D string makes the plectrum jump towards the B string. And picking upward on the B string makes the plectrum jump back towards the A string. As soon as you change one of those directions, you're making things a lot more difficult for yourself. One more time that bar really slowly, and we're heading into the verse. That's the intro. We're keeping down this chord shape as we're launching into the verse. We're going to play through it one time, and then all of the explanation will follow right away. The full verse. Now there's a lot going on, but the picking pattern is the exact same thing all the way through. So we're starting on the same chord shape we started out with for the intro, and then plucking on the 5th fret, which means the 9th fret on the guitar, that first melody note, and pulling off to an open E string. So index finger on the 5th fret, 9th fret on the guitar, pulling off to the open string. And the timing is actually quite important. You pick the melody note, then you play the first bass note again, and then you pull off. That's the picking pattern. One more time, really slowly. That's the full picking pattern. That's the next chord shape, which looks a bit like a C chord without adding in the middle finger. And this is where the other challenge of this song is going to appear. A lot of these open string melodies actually feature melody notes on the G string that sound higher than the melody notes on the B string. And this will take some time to get your head around this. So this is not easy in the beginning. Most guitar players' brains are wired in that way. We need a higher sounding note, so we're moving to a thinner string. In this case, that is often not the case. So this really takes some time to memorize this in the picking hand. But again, the picking pattern is the exact same thing on the beat downstroke in between the beats upstrokes. Now on the second chord, there are a few empty spaces. There are a few upstrokes you actually have to skip. See, so in that first bar, there are 2 beats where there is no upstroke to be played. We are playing each and every downstroke. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The second bar is again the cross picking. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Tommy sometimes likes to fill in those gaps in the first bar with a soft strum. In the more recent live versions, you can do that as well. Let's put those first 4 bars back to back with each other. That last B string rings open as you move to the next chord, which is 9th fret with the ring finger on the A string, which means 11th fret on the guitar, 5th fret on the D string, which means 9th fret on the guitar, and then hammering on with the pinky to the 11th fret as well on the D string, which means, I'm sorry, it's really confusing, I know, 7th fret in the tablature, which means 11th fret on the guitar. And again, we're using that cross-picking pattern right away, and again with that same trick, playing that C note, which would be a C in standard tuning on the 5th fret, while rubbing shoulders with that melody note on the D string, on the B string, I'm sorry. This is gonna be really confusing throughout the whole tutorial. In this part, there is no alternating bass line. So in the first 4 bars, there were downstrokes on 2 separate strings. Because of the chord forcing, there is no alternating bass line, which means that each downstroke is performed on the A string. So each downstroke, except for that second hammer-on, you'll be adding in the D string as well, but for the rest, all on the A string. And a strum to end up, to round out that bar with. And the fingering you're using is hammering on with the pinky, index finger to the G string, to the open B string, playing the pinky on the D string, then removing the index finger from the G string, and then removing the pinky to get that strum on the very last beat using nothing but the ring finger and the index finger. Then to the biggest stretch in the verse, which is 6th fret with the pinky and 2nd fret with the index finger, which means on the guitar 10th fret and 6th fret, and you're hammering on straight away with the middle finger to the 4th fret in the tablature, which means 8th fret on the guitar. And Tommy, I've seen him play it in both ways. He sometimes likes to play that hammer-on, striking the strings with the pick, and sometimes he likes to play it with hybrid picking. I like to play it with hybrid picking. It allows me to pop out that melody note just a little bit more than when I'm playing it with only the plectrum. And the rest of those 2 bars are mostly strumming. Don't pay too much attention at the exact amount of strums down in the tablature. Play this more freely than what is notated down below. You're moving from that hammer-on, removing the middle finger again. So you get the 2nd fret up here. Then moving to the 5th fret, not moving down the pinky, but using the ring finger and using nothing but open strings, only adding in the 2nd fret on the very last upstroke of the bar. So just on that very last upstroke, adding in the index finger. And then we're heading for the biggest chord of them all. We're leaving the ring finger and the index finger where they were. For the first chord, we're only going to use open strings for the rest, but after that you'll be adding in the pinky on the 5th fret on the G string, and then a few notes later you'll actually be adding in the middle finger on the 3rd fret on the B string as well. This is one of the biggest chords in the whole song. You'll only need that 3rd fret, that middle finger, just for a split second, and after that you're releasing the whole chord. So no worries that you have to keep this down all the way through the bar. We're starting bass note, strum, nothing but open strings using those 2 fingers that are already there from the previous bar. Open B string, 5th fret on the G string. And we're playing that 2 times, exactly the same thing. And then adding in the middle finger on the 3rd fret. And after the 3rd fret on the B string, we're just leaving everything open and just playing an open B string. And that concludes those 2 bars. Open string, moving to the next chord. Now first let me play everything we have up until this point back to back with each other, because it's already quite a lot. Looks like an F sharp power chord, which, because of the alternate tuning, actually is an E minor chord with an added 9th. The chord without this alternate tuning would play it like this. Open string, 2nd fret, 4th fret, but with the open tuning, or with the alternate tuning, it looks like this. And it's this little rhythmic trick that's all you have to watch out for in these 2 bars. You're playing the basic arpeggio, just moving down. This may be one of the few times where you're just using all downstrokes. I like to keep playing it just in alternate picking, but you could play it down, 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 down as well. I like to keep playing it in alternate picking. And then playing that little rhythmic fill on the 4th beat, so 1, 2, 3, 4. You would expect this fill to be maybe on the 1st beat. That's what gives it that little rhythmic push. And then we're playing strums using nothing but this chord shape and all open strings. Again, don't pay too much attention at the exact number of strums in the tablature. Just play it as you feel it at this point. After playing that bar, we're moving back to the same chord we played right before this one. Exactly the same thing. Now we're keeping the middle finger where it is, moving to a wide arpeggio crossing 4 strings in total of a D dominant 7 sus4 chord. And this cross picking might be the most difficult part if you want to stick to the alternate picking. Again, you could choose for down, 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 up, 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 just for a bit more natural flow. When I'm ending up on this point, the alternate picking movement is so ingrained in what my right hand is doing that I just keep playing it in alternate picking as well. Then moving down the ring finger, 1 fret, and then ending up with an open bass string and some loose strumming. So I forgot to mention the fingering, but I hope this is clear. So you're ending up from that 1 chord on the middle finger, adding in the ring finger and the pinky for the sus4 chord, shifting down the ring finger to the 4th fret for the dominant 7th chord. With the strum, sorry. Again, loosely, the strumming part, don't take that too, or don't make that too ingrained, just as it feels right. With the chord right in front, so you can watch how the fingering fits together. And that is the full verse. Now, it's almost easier to explain than a lot of other Tommy songs, but I do realize that this will probably take a lot of work. So most finger pickers are used to using their fingers, as the term would suggest. Now, and this is quite heavy on the plectrum work. So I'm going to go one more time over the full verse, and then we're going to continue to the rest of the song. Here we go. That is the full verse. This is incredibly, this may be one of the hardest pieces I've ever done to play slowly. So rest assured, this wasn't take 1. I needed quite a few. Now on to the second verse. Now the second verse is an exact repetition. Let me pick up the pace just a little bit, not near Tommy Emmanuel's concert speed yet, but so you get a bit of a glimpse at what it sounds like once you speed this up just a little. So that was just a little bit faster, but I hope you can hear starting those things just to blend in a little bit more. That very first verse sounds a bit disconnected because of the very low tempo. Once you start pushing the tempo just a little bit, all those overlapping notes start blending together, and that's what gives the effect you need when you're playing this song. Now on to the next part, which is the chorus. And if you want to learn the chorus as well as the bridge and the ending, you'll have to head over to part 2 of the tutorial. Just click on the video link to head there straight away.